guys, gals, and interdimensional beings that may be listening out there. My name is Mitchell Hall, and you are listening to Mitchell's Mystery Hour. Why is it a mystery, you ask? Because it's a new topic every week. So today we have a very special guest with us today, guys. The one and the only Patty Davis. Say hi, Patty.
What's up, everybody?
So, Patty, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, my name's Patty, as everybody knows. I go to LCC and stuff like that, and I'm currently a journalism major, and this is my 4th year at LCC, and sorry, but yeah, no, I go to LCC. I'm a journalism major and everything, and I enjoy watching movies on a regular basis.
So you're a movie fan,
yeah.
Just like myself.
Yeah, I do. I enjoyed watching movies ever since I was like a kid. Like since I was like probably like 4, watching it with my dad in the living room. And my mom goes to work and everything, and then it's just me, him, my brother's off doing his own thing, playing video games and stuff like that. Loved it. It's a bonding moment.
So, it's lucky for you, Patty, that our show today is actually about movies.
Sweet. I'm so excited.
Everybody clap. Okay, so the first movie that we're going to be talking about today is actually, quote-unquote, in your words, your favorite movie, Forrest Gump. Can you actually tell me a little bit about why that's your favorite movie?
Well, ever since I was like a little kid and everything, me and my dad, like I said, we've been watching movies for like as long as I can remember, up until like he passed away and stuff like that. He passed away when I was 10, so that's like 11 years at this point, going to be 12 coming up this year. And Forrest Gump was essentially like the movie, like bold, italic, the movie that basically started my movie, like my love for movies and stuff like that, without a doubt. Like it's like I don't know what it is about it, but like just something about Forrest Gump. Like he just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. Like no matter how difficult life was for him, like he just kept pushing and pushing and stuff like that. He knew, like there's something there that just that alone just like made me feel like, okay, like if he could do it, I could do it. You know what I mean? And that's like. And I feel like to some extent, a lot of people could like at least like somewhat agree, you know what I mean, and could kind of understand where I'm coming from, I guess, with that aspect. So, but ever since then, like that was basically like the movie that pinpointed like my love for movies and want to become basically like another. I just want to be a script writer and stuff like that. I want to direct. I want to do everything about that, like, and hopefully get into that field. And hence why I'm doing journalism at the moment, even though it's kind of like. A bit, like, not more, like, to it, but I guess it would be, like, it fits, it just fits, like, I feel like it makes sense to take that course and that major to be where I want to be and stuff like that, at least now looking back at it, but yeah, I just love, like exactly what was said, that's why I love Forrest Gump, you know what I mean, so.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite Tom Hanks movies. If I had to pick one, that would definitely be my favorite. One thing that like it always sat with me was that about what people talked about Forrest Gump was that he's actually in some ways smarter than other people.
Oh yeah, no, without
not in just general knowledge. And there's plenty of iconic scenes from the movie, but one that always sat with me was back when he was in Vietnam.
Yeah.
When he was putting the rifle together.
Yeah.
And he had it done, in
a matter of like seconds.
In a matter of minutes, like maybe a couple minutes, like. And he was done before the entire group of soldiers, and that kind of. I mean, I'm no weapons expert. Believe me, I'm nothing of the sort.
Yeah.
But I know it's not easy to dismantle a rifle like that and put it back together.
In a matter of minutes.
In a matter of minutes, exactly. He showed that he may not be book smart, but when it comes to I'll call it outside the box thinking.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely smarter than others. That was probably one of my favorite scenes, if I had to be honest, because it proved like everyone's theory.
Yeah.
But if you had a favorite scene from the movie, what would it be though?
Was it towards the end of the film when Jenny came home and stuff like that? And he's like, she's on the staircase, and he's like something along the lines of saying like he doesn't know what love is or something like that. Like that would have to be like that scene right there. Like he knew, but like. He may have not known all that much, but like he knew, he was aware of it and stuff like that. He was like that had to been That had to been without a doubt like my favorite scene. I don't know why that sticks out the most to me, but like that had to have been like the scene when Jenny's on the staircase and they're talking and he went outside to the porch and stuff like that. I don't exactly remember the exact line off the top of my head. I can't think of exactly what he said, but it was something along the lines of him like talking about like love and stuff like that. And I think he may or may have not known what love means. But yeah, no, like that scene alone had to be my favorite, without a doubt.
Now is that when she told him that she was sick, or was that was earlier though, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
I think no, that was when she told him that he was sick. That was more later on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because she had the kid and everything.
Yeah, that was. I mean.
But she didn't tell him that until later though. Like she was probably sick right around that time. But I don't think she told him anything until later when he found out he had a kid with her and stuff like that. If that makes sense.
I mean, definitely when he met his son.
Yeah.
That was definitely like when it registered, in his head.
Yeah.
That he was his son, and that he was when Jenny told him that he was smart.
Yeah.
That definitely like it. It gave me that feel good moment though, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like so many people throughout the movie, mocked him for not being smart. Yeah, exactly.
Like normal or smart or whatever. And I'm just like, dude, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
He may not think like everybody else, but he definitely I believe out in the ways of like I said a couple minutes ago, out of the box thinking. I think he's definitely smarter than everybody else. Not everybody else, but definitely smarter than most people.
Yeah.
Because he just sees the world, differently than everybody else.
Oh, 110%. 110%. I feel like he did.
But yeah, that definitely him like realizing that his son was smart. I think it kind of gave him that father, proud father moment. Even though he had just met him,
Yeah, that quote.
Because some parents, most probably most parents would want, to give their kids, everything. You know what I mean? The cliche, that
and stuff like that.
Yeah, that they want to give them everything they didn't have. And, and even though he wasn't a smart, he wanted that. After he had just met his son.
Yeah, like he wanted to just give it to him right on the spot, and I don't blame him. Like, you know what I mean? But it's just like I feel like that scene stuck out a lot too. And then the scene when Lieutenant Dan was walking up to the wedding.
I'm sorry, Patty. I'm going to have to cut you off for just 1 second because we're going to cut to commercial. We'll be right back.
No, you're good.
And interdimensional beings, welcome back to Mitchell's Mystery Hour. Now, when we left off, we were talking with the one and only Patty Dappis about her favorite movie, Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Now, Patty, you were talking about Lieutenant Dan. I apologize. I had to cut you off. Can you go ahead and continue?
What I was saying was another scene that probably would have stuck out from that film was when it was towards the end of the film when Jenny and Forrest Gump was about to get married and everything, and Lieutenant Dan was walking up with his wife. I believe it was his wife or fiance, whatever title it was, but his girl, and he came up with his legs and everything that that kind of signaled to me he wanted to make the effort of just being present, and he was living his life to the fullest and everything, you know what I mean? And he really wanted to push that forward, I guess, if that makes sense. And that was another scene that probably stuck out the most to me, was when he was walking to the wedding and everything, and then they were talking about his legs and stuff like that, which was really nice and heartwarming, I guess to say. It made my heart melt a little bit, to better say.
Yeah, I can honestly say the first time I ever saw that movie, it was back at our high school together. It was a movie. I don't exactly remember what teacher was showing it, but I remember the first time I watched it, and Lieutenant Dan came up in his prosthetic legs. Yeah. And I out loud in the middle of the class was like, yes, he's still alive. Because I honestly thought that it was gonna be over for him. I did.
Yeah. I don't think it was. I don't think he had much to look for, and then he kind of took a step back, and then he was like, okay, I got it. And that was it.
Yeah. So that movie definitely has a special place for me. I enjoy watching it when it's on. I do.
I get so emotional every time. It's like watching it the first time. You know what I mean? It's like one of those movies. Like you get so hyped up in everything every time you watch it. It's like watching it the first time. Oh my god.
Speaking of getting hyped for a movie, we're gonna actually be moving on to our next movie, which was one of my personal favorites, along with Patty's chosen movie, and it's the original Iron Man movie. Now, Patty, tell me why you enjoyed the Iron Man movie.
Well, the main reason is because like it's such like a different like generation and stuff like that. It was like a new generation of movies coming out and stuff like that with movie lovers, and it was like kind of like where like the movies coming out where it was nothing but comic books for like the last like what, little over 10 years at this point.
Yeah, it was 9 years. 9 years after Iron Man, it was 9 years.
Yeah, right. So me and my dad, like I mentioned before, like he passed away when I was young, and then that with the year that Iron Man came out was the year that my dad passed away. So like ever since Iron Man came out, that was kind of like I guess a quote unquote a new generation of movie loving for me, because like that's when me and my brother started bonding over and stuff like that. We started loving movies, and like we started loving like Iron Man, and it was just like that whole MCU DC universe and stuff like that. And that was like our bonding moment, like, you know, the new generation. Like me and my dad loved nothing but 80s, 70s and stuff like that, all like those movies. Now it's like the new generation. Me and my brother love all the comic book movies that you could possibly think of. Me and my brother, that's literally all we talk about when it comes to movies, aside from like the 80s and 70s and like Rocky and Forrest Gump, of course. But yeah, no, like without a doubt, like that had to have been like the only reason, like the only, like, I feel like besides like the obvious reasons, that had to have been like the most sentimental point of it for me, was just the fact that me and my brother were like, that was like our new generation kind of thing. So that's like a lot of the reason why.
Yeah, it's like you said. It was. I mean, I'm a nerd. I'm just gonna be honest with everybody. I'm a nerd. I like comic books. I like superheroes. Before the movies, you know, became how popular they are now.
Yeah.
Iron Man was is and was my favorite superhero ever since I was younger.
Right.
And you know, to see him. I mean, don't get me wrong. Robert Downey Jr. is a phenomenal actor.
Oh, without a doubt.
He's easily the real life Tony Stark.
But yes.
But seeing, you know, this character that I basically worshipped when I was younger, to see him come to life, you know what I mean, is a feeling that I can't even describe. And it just, you know, watching him, you know, even the comedic side to it of, you know, Tony Stark. It's
right.
not just the man in the metal armor. It's, you know, it's the billionaire playboy that comes along with it.
Philanthropist, you can't forget that.
Yeah, exactly. But he definitely watching Robert Downey Jr. bring my favorite superhero to life was just, there was no feeling to compare it to. Because I remember when I was younger, I'm 22 now. I'm gonna be 22 soon. But going into the theater to see Iron Man in the movie theaters, like there was no other feeling, honestly. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I was young and I had no clue what a good movie was, honestly, at that time. I either liked something or I didn't.
Right.
And like I said, to see Iron Man come to life, there was just no other feeling about it. Ever since then, I haven't missed. I mean, I may not necessarily get to the theaters to see every Marvel movie.
Yeah.
But I've seen every Marvel movie, and that won't change because of Iron Man. You know, having him come to life, there was just no feeling about it. Honestly.
I mean, if you think about it like this, if you have Disney Plus, by all means, I highly recommend, because they have all like the DC Marvel universe and stuff like that on there. Thank God, because I bought it and I'm excited.
Yeah,
and I'm so excited for
honestly,
watching it.
Like you just said, having Disney Plus, honestly, you know, there's three Iron. Not only is there three Iron Man movies,
right,
but there's also an enormous amount of other, not just Avengers movies, but other stuff like Captain America: Civil War, different Captain Americas that have Iron Man in it. You know what I mean? And just to watch Robert Downey Jr. He's an artist. To watch him be Tony Stark, there's just no other feeling about it.
I feel like
and like you said, having Disney Plus, that gives you access to.
It's definitely an easy access though. Like, I mean, granted, it's a monthly pay subscription unless you pay for the whole year. But like, dude, like I feel like it's so worth it to like that extent, at least. not the same as the movie theaters because you don't get the smell of popcorn and talk to other people about it, but it's definitely like an easy, no questions asked access to get to, like, you don't have to leave. You can just sit up, talking to the remote, however it is that you get to that, and then go from there. You know what I mean? And it's beautiful. I love it.
Honestly, and then to have the one of the most heartbreaking things for me though, in terms of like the cinematic universe, was when Robert Downey Jr. officially announced that he was not going to be playing Iron Man anymore.
I know. Did you hear about Captain America too?
It definitely isn't going to be the same for me. I mean, I'm still going to enjoy it because I'm a Marvel fan through and through. But it definitely. I mean, as soon as like even after the movies, he put out the statement. Yeah. And I couldn't do it.
I know, my heart literally broke. Like, I was like, but I'm also so ready for phase 2 though. Like, to be honest with you.
Alrighty guys, we'll be back after a quick commercial break. Gals and interdimensional beings, welcome back to Mitchell's Mystery Hour. So Patty, we were talking before we went to commercial, we were talking about Iron Man and Robert Downey Jr. no longer playing Iron Man. I want you to tell me how you felt when he finally stepped down. Dude,
when I tell you, like I was choked up. I was like crying when I found that out. Like, I remember I was chilling in my room. I think I was like playing like a couple like top 10 videos of like Marvel or something like that, like scenes or like Easter eggs or something like that. When he when he brought it up and everything, like it was all over the internet, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, you name it. You know what I mean?
It wasn't the same. It wasn't the same hearing it like from an article. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to have him look at the camera and say, that he's done.
Yeah.
That's when you know, like.
I cried.
That's when you know it's over.
I think he's gonna do like small stuff like relating to the character, but I don't think it's gonna be like a feature-length film. I don't think he's gonna be like necessarily like in the movie. He might be in the movie for like maybe like a flashback scene, depending on what's going on, depending on the film and stuff like that in the cinematic universe. But like maybe for like 15 minutes. But that's like it. You know what I mean? But that's it though. Him and Captain America, highly, highly, highly upset. I'm ready to cry even thinking about it.
I mean, I know that Robert Downey Jr. is supposed to be in the Black Widow movie, but not as Iron Man. I believe he's supposed to be in there as just Tony Stark.
Yeah.
But I don't even know. I mean, I can't even guarantee that he's going to be in there, and actually do something.
I feel like if anything, like I don't think.
Because I know
he's not in the trailer. I know that. He's not in the trailer.
I know he's supposed to be in the movie. I don't think he's going to do anything major though.
No,
I know they're just gonna be like, we want you to look at the camera and say nothing. and that's when they're gonna disappoint me. and then I'll just be like, all right, whatever.
I feel like it's either gonna be something like that, or it's gonna be like the introduction of like the first Iron Man film of her being Black Widow and the first Iron Man when they I think it was the first time when they introduced each other. I think that might be. She
was in the second movie of Iron Man. That's when they introduced her.
Okay. Then it might be like that little introduction, and then that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be so upset.
But speaking of action-packed, we're gonna be moving on to our next movie, which is, in my opinion, one of my favorite movies, if not my favorite movie, and it's the first John Wick movie, starring the one and only Keanu Reeves. So, Patty, I actually want to talk really quick about Keanu Reeves himself, because he is a phenomenal. Not only is he a phenomenal actor, but he's a phenomenal person.
Yeah.
He puts the needs of everybody else in front of his own.
Mhm.
And I wish that I mean, like, not all Hollywood actors are what you believe they are.
Yeah.
But I just wish that it bothered me that. Remember that video? I don't know if it was. I think it was last year, maybe a couple months ago, when he bought that bus for all those people that.
Oh yeah.
The plane got grounded, and he basically just gave them a tour of the state they were in. And it actually kind of bothers me that it took that video to
have people understand like he's like a nice dude or something like that.
Yeah. But it kind of bothers me that it definitely took that video to make him famous.
Right.
I remember reading a story on him back during the Matrix movies.
Yeah.
When he actually helped a designer a carpenter that worked on the set.
Yeah.
He met the carpenter, and he actually helped to personally build the sets of the Matrix.
Yeah, and then right around that time too, I think it was his sister that had cancer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He had like, he donated like almost all of his earnings from the franchise and like donated it towards the particular cancer that his sister had and stuff like that. I was like, dang, like this dude, like he's really putting himself like after everybody else. Like he's really looking out for people and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
He's a phenomenal human being. But
without a doubt. But
the character of John Wick that he portrays is almost the complete opposite of how Keanu Reeves is in real life.
Oh, 110%.
We're talking a ruthless hitman who used to work for the mob that comes out of retirement because his car is stolen and his dog is sadly killed in the movie.
I know.
But he just unleashes this rage. Like the one scene for me that from that movie that really said something that I'll never forget from that movie is after the thugs attack him in his house and they steal his car, and that's when it's after that when he takes the sledgehammer and he shatters the ground and pulls that case out, and there's like an entire armory in it.
Oh my
and
God,
I'm like, and that's my first thought was these fools mess with the wrong person.
They mess with the wrong dude.
Honestly, and it definitely, and then the thing that solidified it for me was it was actually a few scenes later when the person in charge of the mob sent the goons to his house. There was like 10 or 20 of them. And he just showed no mercy. He
was like showing no game, like it.
And it just like and when he called the cleanup service to get rid of them all, and I'm just like, oh yeah, this is the kind of movie that we're watching right now. And I gotta say, I love Keanu Reeves. I loved him ever since, even in the Matrix and Bill and Ted and other stuff. But this was just a complete. I mean, Matrix had some action to it.
Yeah.
But it was like sci-fi and.
That was more like in your head.
This was a whole new realm for him, and I loved it.
Without a doubt.
And it's I don't know if for any of you fans out there that are a lover of the series. There's 3 movies out right now. He already confirmed that 4 and 5 are coming.
I think they're even going to make a female version of him.
I only watch it because it's Keanu Reeves, but he already said 4 and 5 are coming. And then after they asked him about 4 and 5, and what do you think his response was?
I don't think I've seen his response, but I think I know what it is.
Here's where these were his exact words. He said he will keep making John Wick movies as long as people will watch them. that was his response.
Well, I'll be that people and gladly watch it myself.
Honestly, and I'll be the only. You and I can be the only ones in the movie theater, and I'll go see it. Because
facts.
Because each movie just gets better and better and better.
Mm-hmm. And it's like so different too. Like it's like
it is because those mob movies. A lot of them have those that feel to them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Not to insult mob movies. They're great and all, but they're just this was different. This was not the regular mob that everyone thinks about. You know what I mean? This had like tactical, military, hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
That Keanu Reeves practiced for months. And even the work with the firearms, it was all him.
Yeah.
It was all. Honestly, I can't even. It's really him doing it too. That's the best part.
He's the real life John Wick. Out of his time and like learned it too.
But yeah, guys, we'll move on to our next movie after a quick commercial break on Mitchell's Mystery Hour. Alrighty, you guys, gals, and interdimensional beings, welcome back to Mitchell's Mystery Hour. Now, Patty, when we left off a commercial, we were talking about John Wick and Keanu Reeves himself.
Right.
So, yeah, I want to hear more about what you want to say about, John Wick. Not Keanu Reeves, I mean the character of John Wick himself.
John Wick, to me, I don't know, like, he's such, like the ultimate, like, dude that you kind of was, like, you could kind of call him, be like, dude, can you do me a favor? I know it's much, but... You know what I mean? He just comes off as that guy, and he's really like, he reminds me a lot like Keanu Reeves himself. Like he's very like sincere and stuff like that. He kind of gives me that impression of like Keanu Reeves, but he was like a mobster kind of thing. Like he knew how to fight and stuff like that, all that jazz. And then, but I feel like they also like I don't know, like I just like the character. Everything about the character. He was so like he knew how to fight. He knew what he wanted to do. He knew it was kind of like an in and out thing. Like he knew what he wanted, and then he wanted to leave, and that's it. And then handle it the way it needed to be handled, and leave. Like you know what I mean? And then like a scene, like I don't know if you mentioned this earlier, like a scene that stuck out to you the most. But, like, the scene that definitely stuck out to me the most, without a doubt, would have been the scene where he's, like, tied up in the chair and they're in that little, like, dungeon courtroom and stuff like that. And he's like, I'm thinking I'm back.
Oh, yeah. that was the church, yeah.
That had to have been, like, my favorite scene out of all the film. Like, you know what I mean? At least in the first one. That would have been my favorite scene. I love that scene by every which way. Because it's just, like, it made me think, like, dang. He's really like that. Like he's really coming back.
He doesn't need his hands to like do stuff. You know what I mean?
No, because he did like a little flip and stuff like that. Oh my God, he knew what he was doing. He without a doubt, with like no question, I think he knew what he was doing without a doubt.
And I actually one of the things to me that made this movie interesting, like I said last segment, it's not like a traditional mob movie. And each movie expanded on this was the Hotel Continental, the Continental Hotel, where like you know no business was to be conducted. It was kind of like a safe haven for mobsters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no matter what. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to.
That's okay. That's okay.
But I think the one scene like that also like you mentioned like that it's like a safe haven. Like you remember, was that in the hotel when like in the first movie where him and that girl was like squaring up and stuff like that?
Yeah, they were fighting. Yeah.
I'm like thinking dude,
she broke the rules though, and she paid for it later.
Yeah,
I don't want to spoil nothing for you. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but she paid for it later.
Yeah, without a doubt.
It's just like it's so different from this so-called higher power that even the mob fears. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was like each movie. I like how in all three of the movies they expanded on the hotel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like even when in the first movie he stayed there for I think like 2 days or something like that.
Give or take, yeah.
And like we only saw a couple scenes, give or take, if we were lucky, of the hotel itself.
Yeah.
We met Winston, who's the management or the owner of the place. He goes by the manager though.
Yeah.
But I thought it was it was. And his character, I feel like could have gotten more from the first movie, but then the second and third movie, we got to really experience more of Winston's character.
I feel like he was such a tease in the first movie, though.
He was. I definitely feel like, I mean, like the second movie is great too. Like I like the second movie, but the third, I know I said the first one was my favorite, but the third one is I'd probably have to change my thought to the third movie for the third movie to be my favorite, because the one even in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Right.
When he's being chased by several people with the bounty on his head. In case you guys didn't know, there's a bounty on his head, and that's where the third movie takes place. He's basically running for his life, trying to get the bounty off his head. But yeah, in the first 10, 15 minutes of the movie, of the third one, I don't know, you've seen it, correct?
I seen like a little bit of it, but like I didn't like saw it like through and through.
Yeah.
I saw like trailers, I saw YouTube videos of it, but that's like the most. I have it on DVD. I probably might watch it tonight, depending on how I feel.
Yeah, but the third movie, I mean, in the first like 15 minutes, he's running from a bunch of thugs that are trying to get the bounty, obviously.
Right. And
he runs into this like museum, and it's like a weapons museum.
Right, I remember that scene.
And it's like, there's like swords and hatchets and like knives and all kinds of like bladed weapons everywhere. And like he doesn't have a gun, obviously, because he's trying to run for his life. He didn't have time to like stop by his house to pick up a weapon.
Yeah.
So he's basically what do I do? So he just grabs whatever kind of weapons he can grab off of the shelves, and he's just like annihilating these. There's got to be like 10 or 12 of them, and he's just annihilating them. And I'm the first two movies were action packed. This was the first 10 minutes of the third movie, and I'm like, what just happened after the whole scene's over? After the whole scene's over, I'm like, what just happened? And then there's like 5 minutes. There's like a 5-minute transition. He's just like leaving,
Yeah.
and then he gets attacked by like 10 more guys, and I'm like, is this? I mean, don't get me wrong, I love it and all, but is this what the whole movie's gonna be about?
It's literally him trying to get jumped, but then him annihilating them.
It's him taking on like mobs of people.
No words, just that alone.
Yeah, action packed. You know what I mean? He just shows no mercy.
That's what they need to do in the 5th and 4th movie. Just nothing, like, don't talk, just like straight.
No character development. Just action.
Yes.
But yeah, definitely I mean, like, the 3rd movie's probably my favorite because of, you know, all the action that's involved. But it's not just the action though. There's also, like, you know, you finally after, I mean, unfortunately it took them 3 movies to finally develop John Wick's backstory.
Oh yeah, because they didn't do too much in the 1st one or in the 2nd one.
No, it was basically just him, you know, fighting for his life.
Yeah.
But they could have at least taken a scene or two to explain the backstory, which I think is kind of the fault. One of the only faults that the first 2 movies had was that they didn't have enough character development of John Wick. I mean, the only thing we knew that they had spoken about was that he had military background. They didn't actually say. People were thinking that he had some sort of Latin military background.
But you know what it is though? I feel like in the first movie, I feel like they knew that people were gonna watch and that they were gonna love it, so that's why they kind of like restricted it and like kept it in their back pocket until like the 3rd, the 4th.
The 3rd movie though, like that's so long to finally, you know, explain his backstory.
I feel like they should have explained it to some extent. They should have brought it up in the 2nd movie again and elaborated more, but then again, and then feed off of that in the 4th movie or in the 3rd movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, honestly, I think like I said, I think that's a fault of theirs to wait till the 3rd movie to finally, you know, talk about his backstory.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they could have done it in maybe the 2nd movie even. But yeah, that's enough about John Wick though, guys, because when we come back, we're going to be talking about some interesting movie reboots, guys. Yay! So stay tuned, everybody. We're talking about movie reboots right now. See, one reboot that comes to mind as soon as I think reboots is the 4 Spider-Man, or the 3 Spider-Man that they've had throughout the, you know, the years of superheroes. And, you know, it all started with Tobey Maguire playing Spider-Man. Now, my issue with Tobey Maguire was that he was too old. I'm pretty sure he was like, what, in his 30s maybe when they did that movie? Something like that.
Maybe it is 2025.
It had to have been late 20s for that movie.
Wow.
And he's, not only is he like 10 feet tall, and he's too tall to be Peter Parker. I don't think he was quite right for the role. Mm. And then came Andrew Garfield. Now Andrew Garfield wasn't terrible. You have to think of it this way though. Mm. It's like playing Batman and Bruce Wayne, and like Iron Man and Tony Stark. Like basically if you take up the role of one of those type of characters, you're playing two different characters. Yeah. It's not like Captain America where he takes his helmet off halfway through the movie. Yeah. And he's Steve Rogers all the way through, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I just think I don't know. Tobey Maguire wasn't a good Peter Parker. He was an okay Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield was the other way around. I thought his Spider-Man was like mediocre, honestly, to me. And I thought Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man to me was not good. He was a better Peter Parker to me. Yeah. But I think Tom Holland, for those of you who don't know, Tom Holland is the latest Spider-Man. Yeah. Everybody loves Tom Holland. But Tom Holland to me he is like Spider-Man. He's definitely my favorite Spider-Man and Peter Parker because he can play both roles so well to me that I think he just outclasses both Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. But I want to hear what you have to say, Patty, about all 3 actors.
You know what's funny? I didn't see Andrew Garfield's version of Spider-Man.
You didn't miss much.
I swear I didn't miss much.
You didn't miss much.
Oh my god. No, because, I don't know, I didn't see his version. I saw a little bit of Tom Holland's, I think, from like YouTube and stuff like that, and from other Iron Man movies and stuff like that. I think it was like...
It was Civil War was when he made his debut as Spider-Man.
And then... I don't know, Tobey Maguire's, his version of it, I don't know why that one, like, resonates with me, but I love that one. I love that one. That one had to be my favorite. Granted, though, I feel like you mentioned, like, the other way around, like, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man was good, but, like, not
See, I think he was better as Peter Parker than he was Spider-Man, though. That's
Andrews?
for me. Andrew was better as
Peter Parker.
Parker.
Okay.
But I think that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I remember like they were flip flopping between between all three of them, saying like basically like Tom Holland's like version of it was like really good, like both of them and stuff like that. Like he knew when to be Peter Parker, he knew when to be Spider-Man. And then Andrew Garfield, it was like he knew when to be the one over the other, and then same with Tobey Maguire, it was like flip basically. Like he knew how to be one, but like didn't know how to be the other one, I guess. And I don't know, like Maguire's, I don't know why that one holds a special place in my heart, but it does.
And believe me, you're entitled. I enjoy watching it. It's not my favorite. Don't get it like twisted. I don't want anything to get twisted though. You know what I mean? I don't hate Tobey Maguire. I don't hate his Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He's just not my favorite. You know what I mean?
I
think that most of the villains from all the movies were actually pretty good though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think the only one, there was two for me that didn't quite sit right, and that was the Tobey Maguire, the third movie, where Venom was in it. I think the suit for Venom was like tacky, yeah. And then I think the Green Goblin, Harry Osborn playing the Green Goblin in the second Andrew Garfield movie was kind of tacky as well.
Yeah.
But and then Marvel said, hold up, how can we make these villains better? So they went to Tom Holland gets introduced in Captain America: Civil War. That's all well and good. But then he comes out with his own movie. Then he comes out with his own Spider-Man movie, and they pick Michael Keaton to play Vulture. And Michael Keaton, when Michael Keaton is he plays a bad guy. I don't know if you've seen him in any other movie besides, I don't know if you've seen him in any movies where he plays a bad guy, Patty.
Michael Keaton?
Yeah. But Michael Keaton as a bad guy is absolutely terrifying. And he was terrifying in Spider-Man: Homecoming, which was the first Tom Holland movie. And then they came out with the second movie, and they said, okay, Michael Keaton was great. How can we make this better?
Yeah.
So they take for anybody out there who's a comic book fan, they took a Spider-Man villain, Mysterio, who is the main villain in the second Tom Holland movie, and Mysterio to me was never a good villain. He was always like one of those like side villains. Yeah. Because he never actually like had any powers. He didn't actually do anything. It was all like computer stuff.
Yeah.
So he didn't actually have any powers. He was, in my opinion, one of the most useless Spider-Man villains in all of existence. But they said, how can we make him better? Well, first of all, they got a phenomenal actor, Jake Gyllenhaal, to play Mysterio. And bringing Mysterio to life, I had my doubts in the movie. I obviously knew it was going to be good because Tom Holland is playing Spider-Man. And since Far From Home, which was the second Tom Holland movie, was great. It was phenomenal. Because seeing that side of Jake Gyllenhaal was phenomenal, because he brought this like side villain I'm a comic book fan and I didn't care about Mysterio in any way, shape, or form. He to me was one of those villains that like he always popped up, but then he always got beat like so easily. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's just how it always happened for me in the comic books, was that he got beat so easily. Yeah. But to see Jake Gyllenhaal bring Mysterio to life, and Mysterio wasn't as like maniacal as Jake Gyllenhaal made him out to be. Yeah. But I think that was actually a good bonus that Jake Gyllenhaal made this villain an actual villain. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know if you've seen the second movie with Tom Holland.
I didn't see the first or the second. Sadly.
The scariest scene for me was he gets control of this holographic technology that can create holographic monsters, right? But these holograms actually do real damage to like buildings and stuff. And the person who was in charge of the computers, which wasn't him, he was just he wanted to make himself look like a hero so he could beat these monsters that aren't even real, to make himself look like a hero. And the computer guy says, but the more creatures we create, the more casualties we'll create, the more damage we'll cause. Like innocent people will get hurt. And his response to the computer guy is, well, Paris or England will just have to rebuild itself. And I'm like, well, that's nice that you get to take all the glory for being a hero, but you don't care what parts of Britain get wasted.
You're right.
But yeah, guys. So we're gonna actually be moving on to our next movie reboot after a quick commercial break, guys. So stay tuned, everybody. Mystery Hour. We were having some conversations here in the studio while we were on commercial, but now we're actually going to be moving on to something interesting, and we're going to be talking about a couple movie trailers. Now, these two. The special thing about these two trailers is that they're not like reboots technically. They're more like spin-offs, right, Patty? I would say they're more spin-offs, right?
They're definitely like a spin-off.
It's like a spin-off reboot.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Like kind of like an upgrade, I guess.
Yeah, an upgrade, yeah.
The better say.
So the first one we're going to actually be talking about, and Patty chose this one, was the remake of Candyman. Mm-hmm. So Patty, why don't you tell us a little bit about Candyman itself?
Okay, so those that know Candyman, like you guys already know the drill about Candyman and stuff like that. He's like a slasher. You say his name so many times in the movie, in the mirror and stuff like that. He comes and stuff like that. But in the remake, pretty much what it is, it's after about a decade or so. Like he comes back and stuff like that, and Anthony so it's in the present day, a decade after the Caribbean town were torn down and everything. Anthony and his partner moved into a loft of the Caribbean, and in chance they encounter the old-timey explorers. Anthony's true story about Candyman, anxious to use these macabres and details in his studio as a fresh granite painting. He acknowledgedly opens the door to a complex past on rails and his own sanity, and unleashes a terrorizing waves of violence. So, if you already know the drill, like you guys like know how the movie takes place and stuff like that, and the cast and everything, you got Tony Todd as the original Candyman. He is coming back as well, and as the original Candyman from the original movie and everything, and it's a whole new cast. Jordan Peele is producing it, I believe. Yeah, he's producing it, and he also directed and produced Us and Get Out and stuff like that. And he also did the screenplay for it, like for Candyman as well. And I'm just really excited, to say the least.
now I know Jordan Peele has, like you said, has put out some very popular horror movies,
yes.
Even in the recent year or two.
Yeah.
But how do you think his like spin on Candyman is gonna work out though? I mean, like I feel like he's very talented in the way of writing horror, even if it's like it's bringing Tony Todd back for nostalgia, who played the original Candyman.
Yeah.
I think I think Peele has his own spin on things.
Yeah.
But he wants to give people, like I said, that nostalgia of Tony Todd coming back.
Right.
Now I saw the original one years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Years ago I saw it. I couldn't even tell you half of the movie. But I know he had a hook, right? I believe.
He had a hook, and then like in the I think in the poster of the film and stuff like that, you see like the hook with honey on it with a bee floating around it, hence the name Candyman and stuff like that. I believe so. But yeah, like he had a hook and everything, and he's like a slasher kind of. It's like basically like your typical slasher film.
I like the slasher films for me are like my favorite part of horror.
Yeah, right. But then again, though, I feel like it's not like necessary. Like it's not like that's not like the highlight. It's not
it's a good bonus.
Yeah, it's like a bonus where like, oh, okay, like you're gonna throw that in there and stuff like that. But he definitely like he does it. You could tell what a Jordan Peele movie is when you see a Jordan Peele movie, and I feel like you're gonna see it through Candyman, as well as bringing the like nostalgia. Like I can't say the word.
Nostalgia.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But just a quick detour. Like for me, the slasher part would be my drawing to it.
Yeah.
Because like I know several people out there that enjoy like the ghost type of horror movies. You know what I mean, like Paranormal Activity and stuff like that. But for me, it's always been about slashers. The very first horror movie I ever saw was the original Halloween. With Michael Myers. That was the original horror movie. That was the first horror movie I ever saw. And like slashers were like a horror.
Mine was Child's Play.
See,
I hated
slashers for me are always like they've always held that place for me like in horror. Cause like I don't know ghosts for me never really do it. Cause I've seen two of the I think there's like 6 Paranormal Activity movies.
I believe so.
And I've only seen like 2 of them.
They're not. I feel like after the second one, it was trash. Like all of them. But if you want an upgrade version of that, Conjuring and that whole universe,
Conjuring is pretty good too. But going back to the slashers. Actually, there's another movie coming out on Friday the 13th, coincidentally, which I'm actually really excited for, and that's a movie called Freaky. So basically, if you guys remember the original Freaky Friday movie starring Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan, it's when a mother and daughter, I don't exactly remember how they switch bodies, but they end up switching bodies, and basically they spend a day or so in each other's bodies. But for this new Freaky movie, it's essentially a serial killer who's played by Vince Vaughn, who ends up switching bodies with a teenage girl played by Catherine Newton. So, for me, this was actually it took my love of slashers and put the slasher spin on Freaky Friday.
Yeah,
which
right.
for me actually has a lot of potential. I love Vince Vaughn. He's so funny. He's such a funny actor. And Catherine Newton for me, she's okay. People would know her from her role of Claire in Supernatural. On Supernatural, she was like for me. But I definitely think she has potential in this movie. But to see Vince Vaughn, portray this teenage girl is like hilarious, because one of the main scenes from the trailer that really to me, like, I almost dropped a lung laughing, was later on when her friend Vince Vaughn is playing this girl, and the girl meets up with her friends. But the friends think that she's the serial killer, and so she's like the mascot for their high school. So he starts doing the cheer. He starts doing the cheer, and then I'm like, well, I can't. And then another good part for me, which actually showed Catherine Newton shines in this scene from the trailer, is when a football player, I guess he's one of the typical jocks with the Letterman jacket.
Yeah.
He ends up like against a wall, and then Catherine Newton drags him in through the wall, and like she comes out with like the butcher knife, and I'm like, wow, this is like, I've never actually liked Catherine Newton before, but now I gotta go see this movie, and that's we have both of these exciting movies to look forward to, guys. But we're going to be wrapping it up here on Mitchell's Mystery Hour, so stay tuned for next week's show for something interesting, guys.